Was El Camino good? That is what we're going to determine. As always, welcome to the Was It Good podcast. I'm Ravi, here with my two brothers, Christian and Arjuna. We're discussing how this relates to the Breaking Bad series. Did we actually need this? And answering that age-old question, was it good?
Oh, I thought the age-old question was it smelly?
Actually, the age-old question is like, how is my intros? Are they getting worse, better?
That was good. It was subdued.
It was soft.
It was soft.
Yeah,
That's good.
It was like a.
But I think that was
it's
for
like-
what the subject matter.
It's like
If you're listening to this podcast, please hit us up at Was It Good on Twitter. I would legitimately like to know how my intros are because it's important to me.
Well, that's good.
I don't actually come into these podcasts caring to discuss anything. All I care about is my intro.
I will
I'm
say
selfish.
this is what I think of your intro. We should outsource that.
Wow. Krishna, talking about a discussion we had just before we kicked off the podcast
Yes.
about outsourcing life itself.
Oh,
Actually, here's a fun fact about Krishna. Krishna was an extra in the TV show Outsourced.
Oh, shit, you weren't you? Your hand appeared in it, right?
His
or something?
hand.
yes, my hand.
That was your first, stint in L.A., right?
That was my first
20,
time in
11,
LA.
8
I
years
got
ago.
paid $100. Actually, 120 because I worked overtime.
To show
Wow.
your beautiful hands.
He's a hand model, folks.
That was actually a whole bit with my face that they didn't use.
What did you do with your face?
Probably something terrible.
Well, you had hair at this time, too,
I
right?
did have hair back then. Yes.
Wow.
Damn, Christian with hair. I don't even remember.
Actually, if you listen to this podcast, there is a video that will be coming out soon with Krishna, specifically.
With fake hair.
With green hair.
With green hair.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout for
I
that.
did try to color correct it too, but anyway, we're way off topic here. We're talking today, as I said at the top in my soft intro, El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie that Netflix distributed whenever. A movie that takes place immediately, correct? Yes,
Yeah,
it
immediately
picks up
immediately
right
after the events of the series finale, focusing on Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah.
Guys, when we talk about anything here, movie, TV shows, we like to give this thing called a one-word impression. Krishna,
Yeah.
you're bald, so clearly you want to go first.
Yes, I do. Actually, I don't, but I will go first. My one word is sepia.
Sepia.
Here's why.
The fuck?
Sepia to me is to me it's when you see sepia tone, it's like an ode to a time past. It's like a memory. It's like I'm forgetting. There's actually a better word that I'm actually totally forgetting right now. But basically, this was like a stroll down memory lane, right? And I feel like sepia tone is a good filter for that kind of a thing. It reminded me a lot of the good times of Breaking Bad. It highlighted some of the flaws of Breaking Bad.
The show is flawless. I don't know.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, the show itself was great, but some things in the show don't translate well to a movie, and this definitely highlighted that. But all in all, a lot of memories. We saw a lot of spoiler alert. We saw a lot of old people in the show make real quick cameos, which was cool. So sepia, memory lane.
Sepia. Interesting. That's that's probably by far your most bizarre one-word impression.
You don't
You don't remember my week one? My first.
That wasn't a real word. Doesn't count.
Incredibles for Triple
Doesn't
Frontier?
count. No, it does not count.
Why was Triple Frontier the first one we did these one word? Oh, because the movie was so bad, we only needed one word to describe
Yeah,
it.
basically.
Incredibles.
Arjuna, as per normal, we like to go with you second or first. I always go last because, as always, I never prepare for this because I'm just that good.
I'm going to go with epilogue for this to describe this movie. It was not necessarily a necessary movie, but it was a nice epilogue to what I would consider one of the greatest TV show finales. And it very much, the movie plays like an epilogue to me, wrapping up a story that kind of got wrapped up, but giving you more detail that's not necessary for the plot, but fans will enjoy.
It's like closure.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a better word. I like your.
I know exactly what I'm going to go with because,
Outsourced.
why don't we just kind of...
Unnecessary.
No. Close to that, actually.
Needless.
I'm just going to start it right off the top, really hot and annoyed here. Pointless.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
effing it was fucking pointless.
Isn't everything pointless though?
Yeah, we're all
Think about
space dust, but that's a personal belief of mine. I don't like it when production companies, studios, media outlets take that and then kind of, shove it in my face.
Oh, you don't want more pointlessness?
I don't want more
Well,
pointlessness.
so here's my counter, just to start right off the bat. How is this pointless, but the Joker isn't?
What?
Well, so the last episode we did was the Joker, right?
Yeah,
and
of
a lot of
course.
people have complained about that movie also being pointless.
I've never
Right?
I've not read
Unnecessary.
that.
Unnecessary. We don't. Why do we need an origin movie for this character? It's not an A lot of people have complained. It's not an origin that connects to any version of the Joker or even a recognizable version. Why do we need that?
Yeah, here's my counter to your counter for my original statement of pointlessness. The Joker hit two very important aspects when you're creating any type of medium and you're presenting it to people, right? So when I say medium, like art, VR, paintings, movies, TV shows, music, whatever.
Porn.
Yeah, sure, porn. The Joker entertained me, and it made me think.
Yep.
Breaking Bad,
Or El
El Camino, excuse me, El Camino made me fidgety, and I just wanted to leave and go do something else. So I was not entertained.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't think.
Yeah. Then you, yeah.
So, therefore, pointlessness.
Well, that's a shame.
And that
It's
gonna
wrap
do it
our-
for
that's
us.
gonna
The
wrap our
whole
show.
pocket. No,
the whole
we still have
pocket.
much to discuss.
No, there's much to discuss because while that's my personal belief, this podcast has in the past arguments have made me change my mind
Ooh.
because the whole point of this is to have a discussion.
Wait,
Wow.
what?
We have finally come up with a goal. We finally come up with a point for this podcast. Before I thought we'd just like to hear ourselves talk. I thought that's why we did this.
I honestly thought it was because since we were wee little lads, we've always wanted to just,
have a podcast.
not have a podcast.
It didn't exist when we were kids.
Just say stupid shit. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
thought the point of this
and get away with it.
this podcast was just to get free food.
Yeah, well,
Where-
we're
what?
failing hardcore on that.
I thought the goal was eventually to get a sponsor with Carl's Jr. and they would provide us food every time.
How
we did
fat
this.
do you want to get in your life?
No, it doesn't matter. We're all in a VR simulation anyway.
Oh,
What
for
is
love of
what is
God,
fat?
I feel like there's a theme with outsourcing and pointlessness and space dust. Moving along, because, we could go on side tangents forever. We have a section in this podcast that we call What Happened? It's where our producer, Arjuna, he eloquently describes to us in quick, easy sentences what happened throughout the TV series or the movie, or obviously in this
I
case, it's a movie.
chapterized that shit.
He chapterized that shit. So if Arjuna was, for some idiotic reason, hired by the company in charge of making the DVD titles,
I'm gonna get that job.
this is what they would be called.
Get it?
Oh, man.
And here we go. And for those that haven't figured it out and why I sound just so sexy, it's because I'm sick.
Oh,
I thought you were just, you just were doing like a new thing as a host.
No. I got really, really sick, and it hasn't broken, and I hate everything.
Hmm.
So, moving into what happened in El Camino, as described by Arjuna Ramgopal. Let's move to Alaska, Mike. Yeah, okay. Yep, that's kind of weak. Freedom! It's in all caps. I didn't want to yell to blow people's ears out.
Freedom.
That
pretty
kind of
good,
works.
yeah. Yeah,
Mr.
That was my
Bean.
subdued
Sounds like Mr.
freedom.
Bean.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sick gaming chairs, bro. I would actually, you know what? He's correct because those gaming chairs were pretty cool, actually.
I was curious. The
whole
throughout
setup.
that whole scene.
Real quick, just so people are aware, we're talking about when we first see,
Skinny Pete and Badger.
we see them in their house, which I do want to discuss how the
Yes.
hell are they affording this.
Oh, there's an easy answer to that.
And they're in their chairs. They're clearly video game chairs with like speakers built in. They got like little cup things, reclining, probably massage units. They are pretty cool.
They might be the funniest bit because they're basically like a domestic couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They
Which
act
is
like like parents.
Yeah,
over
they're
Justin.
like these parents over it's hilarious, but we'll get to it.
Badger and Skinny Pete. Nap time. because Jesse has been abused by neo-Nazis for a long time, so that will make you tired.
No, Nazis did not come back in time. These are the new Nazis.
Who doesn't shower with a gun? I can honestly tell you, I've never showered with a gun.
Oh, I've never not showered with a gun.
Does a Nerf gun count?
Yes.
New plan. Mr. Dunst got fat.
He
Mr.
did.
Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst's husband, Jesse Plemons.
Who plays Todd?
Oh, that's right. Todd got fat. Yep. Rug moving, or brain splattering, however you want to call it.
The brain's never splattered.
It's splattered in the rug.
How do you know?
I mean, come on, you threw. And for those wondering, so this is where Todd has killed his
House cleaner.
And Jesse is helping clean up this. This is a flashback to the past, and they push this body in a rug.
Off a balcony. Yeah.
It's about 2 stories.
Yeah.
Maybe 2-3 stories, and it lands, and I'm pretty sure there was blood splattered. It had to have been.
No, it was wrapped in a thing.
Yeah, but remember the front part of it was still open. It had to have been some kind of fallout.
No.
The sound effect indicated that something splattered.
No.
Anyway, moving along. Where's the fucking money? Oh, wait. Is this not a PG podcast?
It never has been.
Oh.
Fake cops. Fun fact, one of the fake cops in that sequence, this is when 2 cops supposedly come in to check the apartment where Todd used to be in the present. One of the cops is actually one of the actors in the new series Gemstone. So, fun little fact there.
Yeah, which one?
He plays the devil in Gemstones. I don't know if I don't know where you are in Gemstones right now.
The devil?
Yeah, he's one of the people that's blackmailing Danny.
Yes.
Yeah,
his son's like
friend or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
boss,
yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
You don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Deliver my vacuum to Alaska. Mom, Dad, I need some money. Just kidding. I need old guns.
I need Nazi guns.
Old-fashioned shootout. Movie explosions.
Yep.
I graduated, bitch. Driving Jessica Jones. Deliver my letter.
Yeah.
And all of that, the whole thing was just pointless.
All right, which is your favorite chapter title or title?
My favorite chapters have, because it actually ties into
Fat Mr. Dunst.
I'm jumping ahead here. My favorite title is probably going to be Old Fashioned Shootout, because that sequence where they have the shootout was my favorite part, and then it was also at the same time. I was a little annoyed by that sequence as well, actually. So
why don't we talk about it? Let's break it down.
Let's break it down. Okay, so here, favorite part, because Jesse kind of outschooled them. He's had a tough year. Just a wee bit of a tough year there. Just a little bit of a tough year. So I thought it was cool how he had his hand in the jacket, shot the guy, and then he just was bam, bam, motherfuckers.
Well, right.
But then at the same time, I'm like, but Jesse is kind of, to a degree, a pacifist. And why is he going on a kill spree?
Well,
and I felt that was kind of weird and out of character and just kind of bizarre to me.
Well, these guys he had a vengeance against. These were the guys that
he had a vengeance against one guy,
which he killed,
and then he killed the other guy.
Because the other guy was going to kill him.
He was shooting him.
It's self-defense.
He let the other 3 go, so his pacifist ways are still intact.
Yeah. So that guy he killed, and that guy wanted to duel him. He came in saying I just want the money.
Yeah.
The guns were not his primary thing. I did think it was cool. You saw the one gun in the front, but the audience clearly knew he had the second gun.
We did. I forgot.
So when he got the vault, he actually pulls out the revolver.
Because the whole thing was pointless.
Oh.
So
God.
he pulls out the revolver first, and then he pulls
Right.
out the World War II gun from the vault, from the little vault thing
That his grandfather had.
Right. And I think it's interesting because it's interesting you talk about Jesse's character. He could have easily gone into his parents' house and stolen $1,800 or enough or something from there to sell for $1,800, but he didn't. He specifically took the guns to go at the people he knew who had this money.
The people deserve to lose money.
Exactly. So it didn't feel like a vengeance thing because the easy thing, the Jesse we met in season 1, episode 1 of Breaking Bad, would have just stolen his parents' money, right? But this is clearly an evolved Jesse, and I thought that's a cool arc thing to see for this character, and one of the things I thought they did really well with this movie was continuing those arcs. And one of the things Aaron Paul had to do was he had to play multiple versions of Jesse at different points, right? So you had the Jesse that was obviously post Breaking Bad, but then you had some different flashbacks. You had
different time periods,
right?
Of it.
For sure. So you saw the Jesse of I believe that season 4 or early season 5 where he's talking to Mike when they're about to he's about to split off before Mike dies. Then you have season 1 Jesse in the flashback with Walter White. Then you have, season 5 finale, that big time jump where he's held captive and you see the deterioration of his mental state, being held up, being held captive. And then you have this post eviction, post season finale, Jesse as well. So I thought that was definitely an interesting headspace, and that's probably very challenging for an actor because when you do a movie specifically, you're generally in a linear type of timeline, but he had to kind of condense and get into this character at different points and go back to points he'd already visited with this character through the TV show.
So is Jesse your favorite part then?
I mean, Aaron Paul's performance is great for sure, and just even saying it, I would have to say that it's probably it takes a special actor to kind of handle a role like that. And I thought that was what was impressive. It's been years since the finale aired. I think it's been six years since the finale aired. And for him to kind of not just jump back into the same character, jump into multiple different versions of this character, you have to forget the character development, not, hint at it or anything. I thought I did a great job.
So Jesse's your favorite part?
Jesse Pinkman. I mean, when it's a Jesse Pinkman movie. Like this is purely about Jesse.
To piggyback off of that, I would say my favorite part is specifically the scene with Walter White, because Walter White obviously iconic, right? The gravity, the chop.
He's the show. He's breaking.
His name is Heisenberg.
But Jesse, Aaron Paul is the reason that's my favorite scene,
right?
Because he was like that kid from the first episode, right? Or second episode, whenever you meet Jesse.
Episode 1.
Was it episode 1?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, when Walter's on the ride along.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and it was like they didn't miss a beat, It was great. You could just see the chemistry between the two of them. I got not emotional, but I was like, I recalled some fond moments while watching that show.
Sure.
That was definitely for me. And I know I would not be alone. And
I think
I'm pretty sure that would be a very popular scene.
I think from reading some stuff online, a lot of people have talked about that scene, obviously because it was kept secret. In terms that he was coming back. You kind of knew they'd have to, if they're doing a Breaking Bad movie, you have to have something about Walter White in there. I'm glad they didn't go the route of, he's alive, or, something,
thank God.
something dumb like that. And I'm glad it was just one scene. It wasn't peppered with flashbacks of Walter White. I think that would have taken away. But what I really liked about that scene, it was there's so much to it, right? Especially where you pick up from that scene where these characters are. It tells you a lot about Jesse. They talk about, Walter talks about you're so young. You have you're so young and you've done something great, right? So you get into that headspace of Walter, right? Of him starting to break bad, where he's on that arc of accepting that cooking meth. I'm not just doing this for my family. I'm doing this because I like it. I think it's something great. I'm doing something great in my mind. But it also informs the character of Jesse of he has so much of his life to live, and kind of that jealousy, and it kind of just tells you a lot about their relationship. So I actually really love that.
Here's a question with that scene,
Sure.
and I'm going to throw this as one of my least favorite parts.
Yeah.
Depending on how this conversation goes, actually.
Interesting.
I know, right?
No pressure.
Like, who knows if this is actually going to be my least favorite part. So in that sequence, or in our diner, Jesse and Walter are eating. I believe Jesse is at a buffet part, and he has a lot of fruits and vegetables, which makes me hungry right now because I haven't eaten dinner yet. So,
yeah, what are you cooking?
Sorry. Anyway, off a tangent on my own self. So Jesse and Walter are talking, and it's very clear that Walter is sick.
Right.
He's got the cancer. Round 1. And Jesse says something along the lines of, I'll make sure the money will get to your family.
Yep.
Why throw that line in if in the present Jesse never does anything to kind of like follow up with Was any money given to the family, or was the whole shebang just a shit show?
So for a recap, Walter secures his own future with his family, actually with Skinny Pete and Badger,
Right.
through his old work colleagues,
Right.
by threatening them. And I think what that line shows you is how different their relationship was from there to the end. Because remember, Jesse was imprisoned because of Walter.
Right.
Walter told them where he was after Hank was killed, because he was mad, that whole thing went down. Jesse was threatening him at that time with the neo-Nazis and everything. And then because of that, he saw Jesse. He let them take him. It was Walter's fault that Jesse was there.
Yeah.
And he, Walter redeemed sort of himself by killing the neo-Nazis and freeing him. And if you remember back to the finale, Jesse has the gun up to Walter's face and it's like, I'm not going to kill you. You don't deserve it. And then they just kind of, I forget exactly what the word is, but, Jesse's kind of moved on and has moved on from Walter and leaves him there to die because he sees the bullet wound and lets him die.
Right.
But I think what that illustrates is at that time, that scene is probably where they're at their closest. Walter hasn't done any of the shit where he
hasn't gone off the deep end.
He hasn't gone off the deep. He hasn't killed people. He hasn't killed the people that Jesse's loved. He hasn't poisoned the people he loves.
Right.
All that type of stuff. So I think it's just illustrating this is a young Jesse who's very trusting of Walter, very trusting of the world around him, to the point of the movie where he doesn't trust anybody. Right. Barely. He's got PTSD. He wakes up in Skinny Pete and Badger's house and he almost kills them because he doesn't know where he is.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why that's funny.
It's supposed to show the dichotomy of just the character's arc, right? He started, at the beginning of Breaking Bad, he's a completely different character, and that scene is to inform you where he was.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You sure that's not just for fan service?
No.
No. What would be the fan service?
No,
because
I think
you're doing a movie in the Breaking Bad universe, and the greatest character, or the pinnacle, like the pinnacle character, isn't in the movie. Then
but if they're doing fan service, then Hank would have shown up, Gus would have shown up,
maybe
Skyler
that
would
have made it more interesting.
Walter White would have shown up, but those characters didn't necessarily fit for the arc and the story they were telling. Everything that they did was informed, and there was a reason to it. The whole point of the movie is to show this arc of Jesse Pinkman. That is the whole reason for this movie. And I would say they did a good job.
It's Jesse's movie, yeah.
Yeah, they did a good job of incorporating scenes that really illustrate that. It's really like a deep character study. It's not an action movie. It's not like a movie that's moving plot forward or even the Breaking Bad universe forward. It's a character study in Jesse Pinkman and what the hell happens to him. Going back to my point, like it's an epilogue. His arc is complete, but it is informing you of that arc again, essentially, and just showing you a tangential point of where he goes.
And that at the end of Breaking Bad, he's not quite out of the woods yet. Right. So just to wrap up his character and show his happy ending.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
No, for sure. Go for it.
That's the whole reason we do this.
That's not true.
Why do people listen to podcasts if not to get into heated debates between brothers who, after the podcast, beat the living shit out of each other if they don't agree? What?
Jesus.
Oh, God. I guess my question, though, is I started this off with saying that my one-word impression is pointlessness.
Sure.
We ended the Breaking Bad series, and I agree. The Breaking Bad series ended as one of the most perfect endings ever because it's you have these two characters that have gone through thick and thin. They've come back they're back and forth. They've fucked each other over. They're ending it this way. You end it in such a way where it's the main character who you kind of care about, but he's a dickhead. Maybe dead, maybe not dead.
He's a dickhead.
You have the character who's been under immense amount of torture and pain and agony, just riding off into the sunset.
Right.
Why? I guess my question is, how and what? It's been 6 years.
Yes.
6 freaking years.
Yeah.
Right?
Just let it go.
The world has been okay not knowing this story.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's causing... I at the top, I did say, because we brought up the Joker.
Right.
And I said... One of the reasons I like the Joker and I don't feel the Joker is pointless is because it causes discussion. Ha 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 on me because we're doing a fucking podcast on El Camino asking the same fucking question of, is this pointless or not? But at the same time, it's we're asking this question is this pointlessness? Do we need this? What's going on with it?
Sure.
Do we think like this movie's come out, it's done its thing, we're going to do this podcast,
Yeah.
the world's going to move forward,
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z.
Will this podcast generate any interest or discussion?
Yeah, I
Going
guess
forward.
so. I guess so. That's if you do these things and you make these things and then the discussion stops,
Right.
which I feel like El Camino came out on October 12th, let's say.
No, 11th.
11th. Okay.
Yeah.
It comes out on October 11th. Is there still a discussion 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, comparing it to things
Sure.
like The Joker,
No,
where I feel
Yeah.
like that's going to have more discussion?
I don't think you can compare those, though, because at the end of the day, one is a movie. And even though El Camino is a movie, it's still a continuation of a TV show that
And
ended 6 years ago.
And it's on a different type of distribution platform.
Yeah, it's completely and I think also the subject matters are different too, right? Like The Joker is technically about a local terrorist, if we want to break it down. And we live in a heated political time with, there's a lot of race issues, there's a lot of political issues. It hits on a lot of those beats. It's generating a lot of conversation. El Camino, like I said earlier, is like a character study about this character riding off into the sunset. It's just, those are going to generate two different types of discussion and debate. I mean, even just going into work today, everybody was talking about El Camino. Everyone's like, did you see El Camino? Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Like, was it cool? Blah, blah, blah. Breaking Bad is still an immensely popular show. There's a spinoff called Better Call Saul that people watch and love and consume.
Sure.
I think a question that had been asked was what happened to Jesse post Breaking Bad. People had talked about, is he going to show up in Better Call Saul either in the past or in the future or the whatever? There was a lot of interest in that. So I think just from the pure marketing dollar standpoint, this movie had the backing and the blessing clearly of Netflix and a film studio to make because
The question
was there.
So I
That's
guess here's like a weird hypothetical theory question then. For Aaron Paul,
Yes.
the actor that plays Jesse Pinkman,
Mhm.
was this a paycheck?
No.
Or was
No.
this something he wanted to do because he cares about the character?
I think he cares about the character a lot. Like he's definitely done some paycheck jobs. He was in a Hulu show called what was that? The Path.
He cared about that so much.
I don't know if he really cared about that show,
I feel like the first season he cared about. I would say like things like
show went off the rails.
Need for Speed, the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
He was in Need for Speed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was the
No,
main
okay, I saw
character
that.
in Need for Speed. Great movie.
He's doing another Netflix show
in
right
Opposite World.
now, as well. And then he's also going to be in Westworld season 3. But Aaron Paul to me is a guy that cares about his roles, and I think he's also very thankful for Breaking Bad because that was kind of his breakout role.
For sure.
That's really what put him on the map. That's where you knew him as.
Isn't it like
Aaron
his
Paul.
breakout role, bitch?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's breakout role, bitch. But again, like I said, I think he did an amazing job. And to me, there's just, as a Breaking Bad fan, there's so many pieces. There's like so many things I want to discuss. Like, I want to discuss where Skinny Pete and Badger were and their fascinating arc. I want to discuss the Robert Forster's character, the fixer guy that moves him around.
Who, unfortunately, he passed the day after the premiere.
Which was crazy.
Right. That's
Crazy.
insane.
But I guess he did have brain cancer.
Yeah.
So it was known within his family and stuff. But for him, he probably had the cancer, I would assume, when he did the movie.
Yeah.
But he cared enough to come back and do it because so many people will be like, well, I'm sick, I don't want to do this, but he wanted to. But yeah, I just think it's to go back to your point, like, yeah, it's not going to be like the Joker where it's like, what does this mean? Was it real? Like X, Y, and Z.
Well, see, for me, like, even with the Joker, I know we're going off to an older podcast, but like, even like the Joker in terms of those questions, that's not that interesting. What's more interesting is the impact on society that it has. Right. While with this film, I feel like it's a one and done. Like, we're gonna do it and we're gonna watch it. We're gonna talk about it for a week, and then
those diehard Breaking Bad fans will have that conversation. They'll even carry it, but outside of them,
it's a small bubble, and then it's kind of done.
And it's also a pretty cut and dry movie. It doesn't leave a lot for interpretation. It doesn't leave a lot for debate.
I will say, like, with everything that happens in that movie, and Breaking Bad has always been a really good series in terms of like making it feel like, well, fuck, this could be real life.
Right.
Like, this could legitimately happen to a degree. Your
To a
sense of-
degree.
yeah, your sense. But this movie, especially though, I feel like the sense of disbelief didn't need to be as like. Didn't need to be like Star Wars level, you know, like where the fucking purple-haired nut job is able to go through fucking light speed and blow up a whole fucking fleet.
Why wouldn't that? What about
Christian,
that?
it just doesn't work. Okay,
why not?
it just doesn't work.
Christian, I mean, Ravi.
Do you know how much energy it takes to get to light speed?
Yes, it takes.
wait.
2 point.
Didn't you? But I thought Star Wars was a documentary.
What the hell?
Arjuna, it's actually a futuristic.
Actually, it says a
Projection.
long time ago at the beginning of the movie, so it clearly happened.
Time
in
is
the
a circle.
past.
Time is a place. Time is a thing.
The past is the future.
So I kind of already say what my least favorite part was, which is the kind of shootout sequence
Yep.
/ the I'm gonna blow up a fucking truck stop because
yeah.
money. What about you, Christian? You've barely spoken.
Yeah.
You just sat there being bald.
Yeah.
Like Walter White.
You'll understand when we get to the end. My least favorite part of this movie was the pacing. The movie did a great job in staying extremely faithful to the pacing of the show. The pacing does not work for a 2-hour movie. It does not. It just doesn't.
You should feel lucky because apparently the first cut of the movie was 3 hours.
Oh, I do feel lucky then. But
Serious?
Yeah.
like
There's a lot they cut.
so after thinking about it, I would have preferred like a 3 or 4 episode miniseries as opposed to a 2 or 3 hour movie. I think that would have actually helped my issues with the movie, which were there were parts where, kind of like Ravi, I was, I was always interested, but like the slow parts felt very slow.
Sure.
And for a television show that's like 45 minutes to an hour,
It's okay.
I think that's okay because you're only there for 45 minutes.
Sure.
You can invest that time for 45, but for 2 hours, I was just like, it was hard to maintain the focus for that long, or maintain the intensity of enjoyment for that long.
Right.
So I felt myself waning in and out, And this movie, because it is a character study, and because it's so cut and dry, and there were no larger, more interesting questions, it was hard. There was nothing in the movie that went way above that, like pulled my expectations all the way back in, or like blew my mind, or there was no mind-blowing moments, right? So the pacing of the movie, I felt, just didn't work. If they wanted to make it a movie, they needed to change the pacing, and I think that would have been fine because it's a movie. It's not it's a movie, right? There's a few examples like Entourage. I actually never saw the Entourage movie, but one of the biggest complaints I heard about the movie, the show was very popular. One of the biggest complaints about the movie is that it felt like a 2-hour episode.
Right.
That just it's same thing, just didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few TV shows that can do movies that work.
Yeah.
Star Trek being
This is definitely probably
One-
maybe the best one. Star Trek, let's be honest, they're not great.
some of the Star Trek movies are good though. Wrath of Khan is one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time.
I've actually never seen Wrath of Khan.
Well, you are
I've
not.
seen- I've seen
Never seen the
I've seen-
greatest Star Trek movie of all time.
I've seen the great
By
movie
far.
Into Darkness. Is that the Wrath of Khan?
Oh,
Go to hell.
I thought that was actually pretty good, but people for some reason
Wait,
think I'm an idiot.
You like that?
I was like, yeah, I was entertained by it. I only saw it the once in theaters, and
Yeah,
I
you
was
don't
like,
need to see it again.
I was like, this is good. And everyone around me was like crying or puking,
yeah.
and I was confused by that
At the same
reaction.
time.
Why
Yeah.
are people puking in a movie?
because it was that bad for them.
Um,
That was my least favorite part, pacing.
I think it's interesting that through your discussion on pacing, we bring up a good point that it was a TV series adapted to a movie, and a couple of things that from your statement that kind of stick out is Breaking Bad was, I think, so interesting to people is because it's this science teacher who has cancer, who based on the U.S. healthcare system is fucked, can't support his family. What do you do living in New Mexico? Well, meth. There's a drug issue there. And I think that was like one of those questions where it was like, well, how far would you go, right? Season 1 of Breaking Bad talks about that with, the guy's cousin?
Oh, Tuco?
Tuco's cousin, right? In terms of like killing his cousin or not. Or is it Tuco? Walter had to kill someone.
Oh,
and-
his first kill.
Yeah, his first kill. And
Yeah.
like answering that age-old question, like that, not age-old question, but like that question, like how far would you go?
That's pretty age.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there, where it's like that was like the major arcing theme, I think, of every season of Breaking Bad.
You could make the argument, though, that this movie is the opposite of that, because you would expect. You don't know what happens to Jesse post series finale, but would you be surprised if he had broken bad from his bad experiences? So I think you kind of went into this movie. I mean, you even mentioned it yourself, Ravi. You didn't watch any trailers. You had no idea what to expect from this movie. Was his morals and the good person he had become in Breaking Bad going to maintain, or was this character going to break bad and fall back into his old habits? Or was he truly going to go to a new life? And so I thought that was interesting for the movie, because I don't know if the movie did a great job of this, but that's what I felt a lot of the flashbacks were kind of trying to tell. Where is this character going? You know, is he going to become a character that's better than Walter White, or is he just going to be another
Walter White.
Walter White,
Yeah.
right? Someone who broke bad, or did he break good?
Or
That's the name of the series.
he broke neutral.
Yeah.
He broke a new start.
Yeah.
Talking
He
of
broke-
D&D terms.
He broke Alaska.
Oh, hi,
Or
Kitty.
broke
pretty
toward
much.
Alaska.
Yes.
So, okay, Chris's least favorite part, pacing. Or Juno, what about you?
Mine's very specific. It was Bryan Cranston's bald cap that was used in
Yeah,
the movie.
it was distracting.
It was lumpy. It was
Yeah.
not good. Like, and he
He looked
did
like an alien.
He did use a bald cap in some seasons of Breaking Bad. Like, he did, I think, initially shave his head, and then in later seasons when he went bald again, he used a bald cap. But it just didn't look good. And
No, you're right.
you know,
Sorry, Junior. So my whole bit is CGI. Your whole thing is prosthetics.
Yeah.
this prosthetic was not good.
Yeah, no,
It's
but
not
he's
good.
right though.
Distracting.
It was distracting.
Taken out of it.
Yeah.
Taken out of it.
Yeah.
And that's a really minor complaint, but that's honestly my least favorite part. I enjoyed large parts of this movie. You know, I just thought, as a Breaking Bad fan, it hit everything that I wanted. And I thought, you know, not to go back to favorite parts, but one of the things I really did like about this movie was the cameos. And Breaking Bad it's always kind of like you said, it's always felt like a real universe. Like, let's take the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for example, right? Whenever a character shows up, it's like this big, unnecessary deal, right? It's like, I'm Spider-Man, and I have shown up to this battle, right? It doesn't. Breaking Bad feels so real that these characters just show up, and you're like, oh yeah, that's that guy that was gonna take away his car. That was the guy that helped them with the magnets and the truck earlier on, you know, and that guy over there and this guy over there, like, and it's the same thing in Better Call Saul, and you just have these characters that kind of live within this world. I thought it was great, and it never felt like anyone was overused, right? Like, Mike was in that very first scene of the movie. He was never in it again. Walter White was in that one diner scene. He wasn't used again. So I thought that was great.
So it was like
really
a
liked
one
that.
and done.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. You know, it didn't distract from the movie. It just didn't become like, oh, all the Walter White cameo parts, right?
Yeah.
Like, take a movie like Spider-Man: Homecoming, for example, right? Like, Robert Downey Jr. is used in that movie, and to me, Spider-Man: Homecoming is just like, it's just a kind of generic Spider-Man movie with, when does Robert Downey Jr. just show up to collect his $30 million and show off his whatever to
And he
sell
says,
the movie?
Fuck you.
Pretty much.
He'll be Doolittle next.
Oh, God.
Oh, please don't start with that nonsense.
Have you seen the cast?
Voice cast? Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
So that was your least favorite part, was
bald cap.
Walter White's bald cap.
What was your least favorite part?
The shootout sequence and the truck exploding for no
right.
fucking reason.
Right.
Because, you know.
I thought that was a high. That was a high moment for that.
I thought that I laughed.
because it was intense.
Do you think they put it in there so, like, people like Dad who would watch this and probably fall asleep
would wake up again?
to wake them up?
That's what it did. That's what it did for me. It was like lulling, and all of a sudden, oh,
Pretty close.
bang, bang, explosion.
I'm pretty sure. No, this is my theory. They had the movie budget, and they're like, "Fuck, we're like way under budget."
I think you said that when it happened. Like, there's the movie budget.
Right, because it's like, let's blow up a building.
Yeah. It's like, wow, we have not taken advantage of this movie money at all.
Right. They're like,
Let's
we're
kill.
so TV friendly. Like,
Yeah.
we know how to do it under budget all the time.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what it felt like.
So, moving along here, because, you know, as the host, it is my job to keep you guys on Parth here.
On Parth?
Parth.
On Parth,
Hello,
okay.
on Parth.
I'm on Parth.
Do we have any theories?
Yes.
I mean, this is a cut and dry movie, but Christian, if you have a theory, I'd love to hear it.
It was all a dream.
Oh.
And he's actually dead.
Get out. Just leave. Christian has exited the podcast. Don't speak. Any rants?
Pacing sucked. Yeah, I already ranted about that.
I have a positive rant.
Oh,
No,
God,
there's no such thing.
Rant as a word
It's negative.
is a negative.
You've used
Yeah.
up. Unless it's negative, you cannot say it.
Well, I haven't talked about this bit yet that I really want to talk about.
Ooh, if we get through this entire podcast and he doesn't talk about it, what do you think would happen?
He'll beat us.
I wouldn't beat you. I'd just be sad.
That's fine. I love sadness.
I think we.
So
we
moving on.
we referenced it at the top, but Jesse Plemons plays Todd from.
Oh my
Breaking Bad.
God! Are you talking about him being fat?
No, I'm not talking about him. I actually thought he was one of the better. That was originally going to be my favorite part of the movie. I thought the character of Todd and having the character of Todd and showing
He plays a sociopath
what a
little
fucking
too well.
psychopath he is.
He's too good at it.
It was the scenes between him and Jesse Jesse Plemons and Aaron Paul were highlights of the movie. Every time they did those flashbacks, I perked up a little bit in terms of just not like that. It's just my attention span.
Something perked up.
And so I thought.
So 5.
Oh boy.
Oh,
I thought he did a great job, and
he did.
I was happy he was there.
Yeah, me too.
That was my positive rant.
He's a little too good at playing a sociopath, which makes me think that his marriage is a nightmare.
One of my favorite lines is when Jesse sees, he's like, "What the fuck happened?" He's like, "I don't really want to talk about it. You want some soup?"
Yeah.
I'll be honest. That
Yeah.
was a pretty funny line.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Oh,
So we have some fun facts here. So the diner scene with Walter White was actually filmed with crew and family members as extras.
Yes, I actually read this today. So they flew Bryan Cranston in on a private jet to Albuquerque. Didn't want to have him go through the airport. Smuggled him in. Made sure that no one hung out with Bryan Cranston outside. There he basically flew in, flew out. They put large brown cloaks on both Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston from their trailers as they went to shoot, to the scene area, and all the extras that appear in that diner are crew members. Like camera people, whatever, that had worked on the movie or the show at one time or another, and their family members. The reason they did it that way was because they knew
nothing would leak.
Nothing would leak, and
Smart.
they didn't want that to leak.
Smart.
Well, in fact, and that was actually the whole thing of this movie. Nobody knew this movie was actually filmed officially until August, when Bob Odenkirk was like, "I don't know what the fuck." He literally, almost verbatim, he's like, "I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you people, where you keep asking us, like, is this movie gonna happen?" He's like, "It's filmed. It's edited. It's coming out in like a month." And people were like, "What?"
Yeah. Well, it sounds like terrible marketing, but or great marketing.
Great
I
marketing,
guess,
actually.
Yeah, guerrilla.
But
Very guerrilla.
Odenkirk is a funny guy, and it's just
Bob.
Critics score gave it a Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 94. Oh, sorry.
There was one other
Jesse
fact.
was originally going to die in season 1.
So this
Yep.
is this was
This
a big,
isn't new though.
Yeah, but it's a story. I think it's a story point to revisit, right?
For sure.
Vince Gilligan has talked about they had the script written and it was going to happen. Like they were going to kill Jesse at the end of season 1 to kind of fuel Walter's arc,
Which makes no sense now that I think about it.
which would have completely changed the show, and then obviously you wouldn't have this movie. So I think it's actually really interesting when you think about what seems like a small decision at times. Like, yeah, let's kill this guy. He's been a main character, I guess, for the season, but this is a show about Walter White, right? Like that's a show about Walter White. So
Needed that foil.
you did.
So before we kind of like wrap this up and answer the question here, what's the future of the Breaking Bad universe? We have Better Call Saul.
Yep.
We have how many more seasons before that thing wraps up?
Probably 1 or 2. It's getting near the end.
Where
for sure.
obviously he goes to Alaska Man or Vacuum Man.
Well,
to get
at
him
the
out of there.
right at the beginning of every season, they've shown the flash forwards
Yeah.
for Better Call Saul, where he is present day, quote unquote, post Breaking Bad. And Gilligan has talked about, we have an idea of where we want to go with that. He doesn't know if it's going to be like the final episode or maybe the final season or final bit of episodes or, what are him in the present day, but we'll see. And I think certainly where Better Call Saul's entering season 5, they've talked about that they don't really want to do much. They don't want to go much like the length. They don't want it to be longer than Breaking Bad.
Right.
So they're getting pretty close to the end. And I think in this last season, there was a time jump that brings you pretty close to when you first see Saul in Breaking Bad.
Nice.
Gotcha.
So we're definitely getting close.
So no more Jesse then.
You never know, but I can't see how his path is going to intercross with anyone. There's also been talk that they want to do a prequel show with Gus Fring to show how he became Gus.
I feel like that will be done in a hot location.
Well, it would be done in Mexico because
Yes.
a lot of it
That's right.
takes place there.
Yes.
And we saw a couple of those flashbacks in Breaking Bad, where his lover was murdered by the cartel, and then he kind of fell into place, and they had this long revenge game and got it all done.
Interesting. You know, the next time, fun fact here, the next time we see the actor that plays
Gus Fring?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, what?
That's the name
is that his
of him.
character's name?
No,
No,
that's
no.
the actor's name.
One more time, Arjun. Slower.
Giancarlo Esposito.
And he's going to be in The Mandalorian
Yes.
as a Death Trooper commander, it looks like.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Hopefully he's going to be eating some fried chicken
Wow.
or some blue meth. I don't know.
Chicken does not exist in the Star Wars universe
How do
as
you
far
know?
as we know.
that's
that's-
not true.
that's not
It does.
We've never seen anyone eat chicken.
Yes, we have.
When?
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt.
When did he eat a chicken?
He had a little thing
His-
that ran by and he licked it and
It wasn't
grabbed
a chicken.
It was like
It
a
was,
chicken.
it was like a
Chicken family.
Tatooine thingy.
Yeah, Tatooine chicken.
Moving right along here. So Rotten Tomatoes gave this film a 94%. I'm not surprised. They got paid probably quite a bit to do that. Conspiracy theory.
Ooh,
Do,
boy.
do, 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 do. So I'm going to ask the question. Do you guys like my T-shirt?
No.
Fuck you both. Krishna,
Fuck you both.
was El Camino good?
Yes. Ultimately, it was good.
Oh, I actually expect you to say no.
Yeah. It was good because of the horrible pacing, and even though the stakes didn't get as high as I think they should have, it was good. The performances were great. I was still interested in the movie. I was invested in the characters, and there were definitely some moments where I was like, "Well, that was just really cool." So yes, it was good.
Interesting.
Arjuna, was El Camino, a Breaking Bad story, good?
Yes, it was good. I thought it was a nice, to bring it all back, a nice epilogue to the Breaking Bad show. And I thought it helped with it continued on the legacy of the show and everything within this universe, and I really liked it. Ravi, was El Camino
No, it
a
was
Breaking Bad
pointless.
story good?
No, it was pointless. Listen to this podcast again if you want to know why I hated it.
Ravi, I don't understand.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I don't understand.
Yeah, go ahead.
He wants you to
Why?
explain.
Why
everything.
don't you understand? I just
I'm just kidding.
I just explained.
I don't want you to explain.
Then would you watch this movie again?
No.
To be honest, probably not.
Dude.
I even it was good, but I think I got everything I needed out of it.
I'm going to say
first viewing.
I will, because I know one day I will rewatch the show and I would want to rewatch everything together. So I actually think would be bold as to say that this movie would be more enjoyable if you watched it, if you binged it with the show.
That's interesting. And maybe create your own natural stopping points to break it up.
Mhm.
Instead of unless your viewing habits are that you watch 2 hours of episodes at night, which is possible.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at Was It Good. You can find us on Twitter at Was It Good, or on Twitch at Was It Good, or on Instagram at Was It Good BTM.
Wow, it's like you're a robot.
I
Yeah,
am totally a
you
robot
are a
tonight.
robot.
I
Did
am
you
a
outsource
robot.
yourself?
I
did.
outsourced myself to the extreme. Thanks again for listening. We release these podcasts when we feel like it. If you have any suggestions for us, hit us up on Twitter at Was It Good. We do respond. We're not jaded yet.
We get millennials.
Goodbye.